And according to the system, we are going live. And I just talked for a second or so because it tells me that we're setting it up, but I suspect that we're probably live, as I have
It
learned
says
the
meeting is
hard
now
way.
streaming live on Facebook.
There we go. It tells you that before it tells me. It's fabulous. You gotta love it. And technology is just absolutely fabulous when it works. And you know what? We're going to make the best of it
That's
anyway.
right.
So thank you so much, everyone. We are so glad to have you with us today on It's Time to Excel. And of course, this is our weekly time where we get together and we figure out how we can inspire and ignite the possibilities that are all around us, because it's your day to excel. It's your time to excel. And I'm so honored and blessed to have my friend Joe Novara with us today, and he's going to get sharing some really cool information on networking. And in today's world and society, my goodness, networking has changed so much.
Yes.
And I think that's been a challenge for a lot of folks. And that's why I'm so grateful that you're willing to come and share some of your expertise and get a chance to meet the audience. And, we're hoping if you're here, pop on, say hi. I know there's a delay on that, so sometimes it takes me a minute or two to catch up. But you know what? We're just going to roll with it, because that's what we've got to do in this world. Right now, we just have to kind of adjust. We have to pivot. We have to just keep moving forward, and yet finding ways to go ahead and share our strengths. So thank you, Joe, so much. I have been so blessed to have you as a friend and a mentor as we have gone through. You were one of the first folks I met when I moved to North Carolina and had an opportunity. You've been teaching me how to network and working with me and guiding me, and I'm so grateful for that. And that is definitely your expertise. You are a connector. You love to see people connecting, and that is the one thing that we all need to do, especially right now, because we feel disconnected at this point in time. I mean, it's hard working on it. It's so much easier when you get together and say, you can touch and feel and at least, shake a hand. And we can't do that, or give some hugs, because we just cannot do that right now. So we just have to do virtual. So we do virtual as much as possible, but it's definitely different. And I think networking has had to pivot a little bit and change a little bit. And I know that's what you're going to share with us, and you're just masterful at it. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and go ahead and have an opportunity to share a little bit about who you are and kind of just some little basics, because I know we're both Northerners.
So I grew up in New York on Long Island, or it's like people like to hear me say Long Island.
All right.
And God was in the printing industry for almost 30 years. And during that time, I sold some real estate for about 4 years. And a lot of the time that I was selling was in the printing industry. I was also doing sales. I worked in many different areas around sales. Many different areas in the printing industry, right up to owning my own business for about 5.5 years, around the time of the Great Recession. So that was a lot of fun, that time period, but it taught me a lot of great lessons. My style of sales from the get-go has always been utilizing the relationships, leveraging the relationships I have. And so there were times, until I was older, I didn't recognize that I was actually networking. If you follow the correct definition of what the business networking is, I was doing that, but I didn't know that way back when. It wasn't until I got a little older that I started to recognize that was networking. And
and welcome, Lou. Thank you for joining us. And he's shared with us that Joe Novara is the man.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, so what I want to talk about, is during this time is I'd like to share 3 specific keys that I find to be so much helpful when it comes to networking. First of all, you want to set goals for the network. If you're going to networking events, you want to make sure you're setting goals before going to those networking events. You want to ask for referrals and introductions. And you also want to have a system for following up. You don't want to be doing it on the fly. You want to have a system that's already implemented for following up with the people you're meeting, whether in networking events or through introductions from other folks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, but well, that sometimes seems a little overwhelming, though, doesn't it? At times, I don't
It
know.
does, and that's one of the things I always like to say is that networking can be stressful for even the most seasoned networker. It doesn't matter if you've been
Okay.
doing it for one day or if you've been doing it for 20 years. Networking can still be stressful. Walking into a room full of people that you don't know, or into right now sitting down at your breakfast table and jumping onto a Zoom room full of people you don't know, can be intimidating and even a bit stressful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Lou popped in there. Yeah. What's the gold in this whole entire process? And that is the follow up. Absolutely. That
Exactly.
follow up is, and I have heard you state that over and over and over again.
And you're good at it.
And I do try, but you got to have that system in place. And I think that's a lot of
Yes.
the reason, listening with you and, learning with you, that I got the tool in place, which is what kind of got me into Zoho. It was because of you. It's your fault.
Mm.
But, it's definitely a tool. So
Yeah, well, you did
absolutely.
take my the referral marketing success course.
That's right.
And there was
So,
a whole
put
session
the
in that
steps in
just
place.
on follow-up. Yeah.
Absolutely. But even setting the goals, I mean, sometimes that can be overwhelming as well.
Well, yeah, the setting the goals is very important, especially when you are networking, because what what I want to say first is that it's very important, Janet, that that you identify who is your target client.
You mean I can't just go in the room and talk to everybody?
You can if you have all the money and time in the world.
Okay.
But if you're like most people who are at networking events, we don't. And so when we're going to these business events, we should go in there first knowing who is our target client. So that means you should not be at an event where your target client will not be networking. Okay, so let's
Okay.
just make that clear. Our friend Dick O'Donnell, he is very clear on the fact that chiropractors are
Hmm.
his target client. So that is why Dick is so involved in the Chiropractors Association. And that's what you want to make sure when you know who your target client is, then you want to go to where they're networking.
Okay. That
Okay.
makes more sense. So
Right.
you're thinking ahead. You're not just going at every place out there,
It's,
which is
yeah,
nice and it's great and it's great to connect, but it's two-sided.
correct. Absolutely. But now you said we mentioned the goals. So now regarding the goals that you're setting when you go to a specific event, what you want to do is, for many, again, it can be overwhelming. So if I go to a specific event, I would go there now. When I first started, it was a less number, but now when I do go to a networking event, I make sure that I I plan on engaging with 5 or more small people that I have never met before. If it's an event,
Okay.
if it's a new event for me. And the reason why I do that is because it's so easy to just find that one individual that you already know and attach yourself to the hip of that person.
Absolutely.
And then you go home that evening and you'll say, I didn't get any value out of that event today. It was a waste of time. So if I go there with a specific goal in mind that I want to talk to 5 new people that I don't know, and in hopes they are the business owners and influencers who can help grow your business. That's what
Okay.
you want to do. Okay. Now, for some of you, it might just be one person or two. Just make sure you set your goal and you stick with it.
And you
And
set that intention.
yes,
Just like Lou brought up, it's intention. We've got to have that intention up front.
yeah, exactly. Because what you don't want to do is walk into a networking event or jump on a Zoom event and not know who it is that's going to be in the room or who it is that you're looking for. Because really, what you're doing then is you're just closing your eyes and reaching around and touching and hoping that you touch the right person. Okay.
And with so many options out there, I think sometimes we've got so much at our fingertips now
Yes.
that's tending to, and you hear this Zoom fatigue or the Zoom, like they're just over Zoomed. And I
Right.
kind of get that because sitting at the computer all day is definitely challenging, and especially, bouncing. And sometimes it's hard to keep track of all of that. But as you said, you still got to set that intention, that
Right.
goal of what is the, and put yourself in a situation for it to be a win-win situation.
You're absolutely right. And what you just said was very important because unlike when we are networking in person, you you have to drive to an event. You have to get in your car. You have to make sure that you have enough gas to get there. Then you have to come home. Sometimes you're going from one event to another event,
Mm-hmm.
so you're a little more careful about the events that you're going to. Okay, you might be a little more picky. However, right now it's easy to just jump on one Zoom meeting to another Zoom
To
meeting
another.
to another Zoom meeting. And that's where we have to be careful. And that's where folks are starting to get, as you were just saying, a little, what did you say, Zoom weary?
Zoomed out. Yeah,
Zoomed
they're
out,
just
yeah.
zooming out.
And that's where having goals is very important. And also part of your goals is you want to make sure that you have your calendar, your daily calendar filled in, so that this way you're not just like time when you're supposed to be marketing, you're spending on a Zoom meeting that you really shouldn't be on just because
Back to
some
time
of your friends
management.
were going to be there.
And blocking time, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Like
time
making sure
blocking.
that we block time. And that is something I'm a big proponent of as much as you are.
Right,
Because
right.
otherwise time will run away from you.
And that's why I love what Earl Nightingale says. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going.
Exactly.
And the only way you're going to know where you're going is first you set that goal, but then you've got to develop the plan that's going to help you to go there.
And it's one step at a time most often.
Right.
But if you don't know, I always love to use the analogy, you might be throwing darts at that dartboard. The only problem is that dartboard's behind you. And that people do that with their money all the time. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. If you're aiming for that, that's fabulous. The only problem is it's sitting behind you. So what are we going to do about that?
Yeah.
And I think it fits right into networking. It fits right into the whole 9 yards. And I think across our boards. And I'm waiting here any minute here because this puppy is thinking he has to get on Zoom. So if there's a head that pops up, just roll with it, and we're gonna go from there.
Well, he can hop up and say hello. It'd be nice
go
to
say
see
hi.
him. Hey,
there's Mr.
look
Bear.
Look at that handsome fella. Hello,
he has
there.
insisted that he is coming up. Oh,
well, he
my
wants
child.
to network.
He does.
To learn how to network.
And he's so cute, he can get away with it. That's the
yeah.
That one little fluff ears, but that's a puppy for you. Welcome to the world we live in right now.
Yeah, that's right. So one thing I like to say, Janet, is that the number one goal of networking is relationship building.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of folks would like to believe that to them, the number one goal of networking is to get more business. But that should be the second, that should be secondary, maybe even third. The number one goal is to develop relationships. The number two goal for me in my networking is to then be of value to other people. Okay. So number one is develop relationships. Number two is be of value to other people. Number three is to then be a recipient of the of referrals and other opportunities, business opportunities that would come to my business.
Very cool. Welcome, Anna. Thank you for joining us. We're getting some more folks dropping on, so thank you so much. And she agrees with the time blocking. Definitely agreeing from there. And of course, there's always a delay here, so we might be wrapping things back there, but it's all good. We just make it all work.
Fine.
It's all good. But that makes a lot of sense. And, and I think, are people still, like, I know when we're out networking, you get overwhelmed and you really do feel that overwhelming presence. And I think by setting that goal, I guess that's the first step to kind of not being so overwhelmed. But the same holds true in Zoom, just like you were pointing out, the same holds true here as well.
Yeah.
That it's intimidating. It's scary. What do you mean I'm on camera? What do you mean? I mean, to me, it was a different way of looking, even when I'm out speaking and training and stuff. And I've been doing virtual for a while, but it's still a different way of doing things. Like, I had to get my mindset shifted, and I'm guessing other folks have to do the same thing with mindset as well.
Yeah. So the other thing in regard to overcoming the overwhelm that folks feel around networking, again, this even applies to online. I have a friend who she had been trying to get on this other networking group. It's a pretty big group, and I'm a regular at this group. It's my target client. and she asked me if I would be on last week. And unfortunately, I had a speaking engagement about
Okay.
15 minutes after the meeting started. So I told her I was not going to be able to be on. But then what I did was I said, why don't I get on for the first 15 minutes and just
Okay.
introduce you to everybody? So just like we can do in person, we can still do that through the virtual events. And so you're a wingman. You bring a wingman. So
Okay.
you can still bring a wingman even to the video events. It does, and the nice thing is that you can drop out if you have to. It's not like
Right.
if I brought you, Janet, to a big networking
Leave me
event
stuck
and
there.
then said, all right, I'm out of here, you're on your own. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
little
not going to work
easier.
that way. But yeah, it
Yeah,
makes it much easier. And I think that that's a very big point to make is you can still Zoom together in essence and work together to make sure the connections are made and
that's
be
right.
listening. And I think that's part of it. When you build a relationship and I'm listening for folks that would be a good fit for your program or vice versa, we're talking about money management, we're talking about Zoho CRM, like those types of things. When we hear that and I've built that relationship, it's so much easier to connect those folks.
That's right.
And you can do that and, chats with Zoom or whatever. There's multiple ways to still do that. I would say even an email introduction. You and I both have done those many a times, and just that introduction itself is huge. It doesn't change that we're networking virtually.
That's right. That's right. And and one thing that's great to do, like you were just saying about the introduction, is when I meet somebody, what I will do often is I will say to them, how will I know when I meet someone if they're a good connection for you?
Okay.
So now that gives us the opportunity that gives you the opportunity to tell me who you're looking to connect with. Who are you looking to network with? Who is your ideal client? Okay. Or who is your best referral source? Sometimes I may not have access to your ideal client, but I may have access to a lot of people that could pass referrals to you. And so sometimes I'd say, I'd rather you show me where the pond is with all the fish that I can go fishing in all day, every
Absolutely.
day, rather than you just handing me one fish.
And that's a great point. That is a
Yeah,
great point. Is sometimes I think we overlook that side of it. How can you complement the ideal client?
that's right.
Because we all have different strengths that we're bringing to the table, and how can we complement that, as you said? And that way, everybody's growing, everybody's moving forward.
Right.
And I think,
Um,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, just looking at all of that, and that makes it, I think our confidence builds as
Mhm.
we're going through there. And I think if you're a little bit, not quite sure what the Zoom together, take a networking and go together. But
Yes.
just like you would, as you said, do that wingman. Lee agrees with us. Wingman, go for it, because sometimes you just need that.
Hmm.
And it's just having that extra person there to give you that little bit of support is huge, is absolutely huge. And with that comes the confidence. And then when you're confident, then I think you present yourself better as well.
So let's say you wanted to go to right now
Hmm.
during this time period,
Okay.
let's say you wanted to go to a BNI meeting that's in San Francisco. Well, then just, Janet and I, we can get
Hmm.
on, first of all, it'll be about 11 o'clock here. So we're already awake, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And,
Absolutely.
and we could say, hey, let's be wingmen for each other. Well, she'd be my wing woman, I'd be her wingman. And let's find a BNI over in San Francisco and let's get on it at 8 o'clock in the morning their time. And so here we are, we're going in together like a team.
Hmm.
And and we have different businesses, but
Exactly.
at the same time, we're there to support each other.
And it's a compliment to one another,
Yeah,
which makes a
exactly.
huge difference.
And I encourage people to do that right now. Find
Absolutely.
find networking events all over the country, especially if you have a business that's not locked into your region.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. If you're a tire salesman, if you're putting tires on cars, no, I don't encourage, or an auto mechanic, maybe going to a networking event in California won't be the the best use of your time. But if you're somebody like Janet and myself, where our business we can do our business all over the world globally, well, then we could definitely be partaking in those events. So think about that for your own event, your own
And
business.
that's a great point. Absolutely. And now we can go all over the world,
Yeah.
and we don't have to drive, and we don't have to jump on a plane.
And I believe even when the pandemic is over, I believe that there will still be a lot of online networking
Yes.
going on because a lot of people really like it.
Yeah, I don't see that. I think this is going to be a way for a while, and a very strong option.
Yes.
In addition to as the events start to opening up, but I think it's going to be slow.
Yeah.
And it will be nice in some ways, but as you said, the Zoom, you can be anywhere in the world in a matter of seconds.
Now, I know that we're going to be running out of time soon, so I want to talk about one other thing before we
Absolutely.
touch about on follow-up. And this comes back to the referrals and introductions. Do not be afraid to ask for referrals. If you are afraid of that, then if you're afraid to ask people for referrals, then there's a limiting belief that you probably have going on, that you think that you have this perception inside your head that when you ask for a referral, that there is a negative connotation to that. And you need to if that is the case with you, you need to work on that and identify what is that limiting belief and get rid of it. You need to identify that so that this way you can work on that, because asking for referrals, not everybody is going to just offer referrals. They don't know how. So we have to often ask people. So what I do, one of the things that I'll do is, whether somebody hires me or not, what I will say to them, if I believe that they have access to other people that could be good for my business, is I will say in a similar fashion to the way I'll say it to you now, who do you know like yourself that could benefit from my coaching program? Or who do you know like yourself that could benefit from having me come and speak to their group? Something along those lines. Make that work for your business. Okay?
Okay. But you're also building that relationship and that trust together.
Correct.
And I think that's huge. And that's what you've always been very masterful as, just being able to do that. And that's how, when you coach and you help others to do that as well.
Right. Well,
through
that's
those
what I tried.
But it's challenging. I mean, it definitely is. And I think the biggest thing you mentioned here is, back again, if you do all of that and you don't do this next step, you're almost not. And of course, and that's the goal, as Lou mentioned earlier.
Yes.
What do we need to make sure? Because you can network every day, all day long. You can network 24/7 at this point in the game. And you can meet them and you can build them and you can refer, and that's great. But what's the one thing, I guess that's the overall key ingredient, that if you do not finish with this step, because as you said, it's part of your coaching program and you spend an entire chunk of time on that because of the importance of it.
Right. And that leads us to what's the most important part of any sales process. No matter what you do, if you're not following up with the people you're meeting, you're really wasting your time. Follow-up is so important. And what I always like to say is, about follow-up is, follow-up will not only guarantee you more business, follow-up will help you to stand out above the competition. Because you've got to remember that if you're uncomfortable with following up with people, so are your competitors. However, if you look at the competitors who are really excelling in the business that even the business that you're in, you see somebody is excelling at it, 99% of the time it's because they have a strong follow-up system. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're better looking or better dressed or they drive a nicer car. They have a better follow-up system.
And I think that's a key word. And Anna mentioned follow-up is in the fortune is in the follow-up. And we've heard that many times with Mary Kay. And, welcome, Joe, Heather. We're glad to have you here as well. So we appreciate you guys joining us. But fortune is in the follow-up.
Yeah. And you want to systematize that. You want to have it systematized. After I go to a networking event and I meet those 5 people, now what I do is I have their business cards.
Okay.
And I immediately connect with them on LinkedIn. That's my first touch. If it's somebody that I feel that I really want to connect with in the future, I might send them a handwritten note card, I will
Okay.
follow. And if it's somebody that I really want to connect with now, we're talking our A prospects. In the email I sent them or my LinkedIn connection, I will try to schedule a time for us to speak. Now
Okay.
I have an online scheduler that I use. So
Mm-hmm.
what I would say is, Janet, it was so nice to meet you at the business event last night, and I would love the opportunity to talk more and learn more about your business and how I might be able to help you. To make things easier, I often offer my online scheduler. Here, just click the link, pick a time that works best for your schedule, and I'll call you at that time. If that is not good for you, then just suggest a few times that work best for your schedule. So
Okay.
I give them, because not everybody is comfortable with clicking links. So it's true. A lot of people are very uncomfortable with clicking links.
And it
So,
is. And the scheduling, one question came in is, what do you use?
and thank you for asking that. I use youcanbook.me, and it's the word you, so YOU, canbook.me. And so mine, for me, is Joe Novara, JoeNovara.youcanbook.me.
Easy
That's
enough.
mine. Yeah,
And
and yeah, it's really easy. If you know my name, you can
you can figure it out.
schedule a 30-minute call with me pretty much anytime you like.
There you go, making it very, very simple. And I use a combination. I've used Square, and I'm now using a little bit of a different variation, but the quick links makes it so easy.
Well, the thing I liked
And you
about
bought your time.
youcanbook.me is it was so
Yeah,
darn easy to set up. And
absolutely.
I need easy.
Simple.
And
And
they
I
have
think
a
that's the
free
key,
platform.
simple.
Yeah,
And as I say, and they do have a free platform that's available for you. So it's just depending on what your needs are.
right.
And each one has its own plus and minuses, but it's definitely
That's right.
worthwhile because it goes back to that time blocking. You can schedule out the times that people can reach back out to you. So you know that you're going to be on the phone this block of time.
Yeah.
And then they are all funneled into that area. So it's a win-win. So you can put your time and effort into helping, learn a little bit more about them, and it's convenient time for them as well.
So if I had a success to-do list for today, it would
Okay.
be three things. It would be that we talked about. Make sure you set your goals and you stick with them.
Okay.
Okay, that's number one. Number two is do not be afraid to ask for referrals and introductions. And number
Okay.
three is follow up, follow up, follow up.
And add a couple
That would
more
be my
follow-ups.
success to-do list for today.
Very cool. And those are actionable steps that we all can take.
Yes.
We all can take those, and you're encouraged to check them out, see what the options are. And I know you well enough to know that you probably have a special gift for the audience here if anybody's
I
willing
do.
to take advantage of it. So would you like to share a little bit what you're willing to share with our group?
Sure. So what I would love to do is offer anybody who's on the call today an opportunity for a discovery session, a free discovery session. 30 minutes. We'll do a phone call, and you can use the link that I gave you, and I'll repeat it again in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Using that link, you can schedule a time, and what we'll do is we'll identify a specific challenge that you're having in your business right now,
Okay.
whether it's around networking, whether it's around goal accomplishments, whatever it is, we'll work on that. And in that 30 minutes, we'll try to come up with a solution. And then at the end, we'll just see if maybe there's a fit for us to do some other work together in the future. And if not, that's okay. No obligation. My goal here is to help you to overcome whatever that challenge is that you're having in your business. I am not a life coach, but I certainly can help coach you in your business. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And I think
Oh,
that's
and
one of the, go ahead.
no. Well, I wanted to say the link again is JoeNovara. That's my name. .youcanbook.me.
Perfect. And would you be so gracious, as soon as we close up here, we'll go ahead and put that in the comments as well.
Absolutely.
And that way the link is right there for us. And I encourage you guys, take advantage of this opportunity. I know I have been blessed to have done a couple of them over the course of the years of some of the different ones. And and I've been at different points in my life and my business. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's really hard to see beyond that. And it's great to get that other perspective because you're coming in from a completely different perspective. And a lot of times that's what we need.
And I have to say that being able to work with you, Janet, through on the money stuff, just like I said, you have to organize your calendar. Uh, Organizing my finances in a way that
Hmm.
I've never organized them before has allowed me to have freed up so much time. It has been incredible the amount of time that I've gotten free as a result of organizing my finances. So I cannot thank you enough for everything that you do and have done for me
Thank you. I
in
appreciate that.
that. So thanks.
Absolutely. And I think there's so much money management questions and maybe time is one of the biggest challenges because it's overwhelming because folks aren't money people or
Right.
numbers people, not money. It's not numbers. Everybody associates money with numbers. And it's not always necessary numbers. It could be just setting that system up of organization.
And you also helped me very much with some of the limiting beliefs I had around money. So I really
Okay.
appreciated that
Well, thank you. And it has
and the
been a
organization.
great opportunity to work together. And I know you've helped me kind of boost through as I've kind of evolved. I mean, it has
Yeah.
definitely been a journey over the last several years. And I'm so grateful to have you as part of it. And I'm grateful for the guys and everyone, the gals and the guys, or, everyone that's on this call, especially with us. I mean, I see Anna, I see Joe Heather, I see Lou, and it's just wonderful to be surrounded by such experts in their own field. And
Yeah.
it takes all of us together so that we can inspire and ignite those possibilities and ultimately so we can excel because it is our time, it is your time.
That's
And
right.
that's what I absolutely love. So, guys, I really, really encourage you take advantage of that opportunity. Take time and get to know Joe a little bit better. He is an amazing person, and I encourage you to take full advantage of the opportunities in front of you so that you can excel. And I appreciate the compliments as far as sharing some about money management, and that has just been my passion. Numbers come easy to me. I've
Yes, I
learned
can
that
tell.
not so much for everyone else. And that's okay because we each have our different strengths and gifts that we've been given. And by sharing that, so thank you so much for taking time today to come and join with us and work with us and help everyone to excel because there is so much. You said we've got to get those goals, we've got to ask for those referrals, and by all means, please, please, please have a system in place to follow up,
That's
which is huge. And they're all in agreement. We are on this together. So we appreciate the support that those that are joining us and just working together, especially in the challenging times and the changing times. It's, I
right.
think that's one of the guarantees we have. Change is coming.
These times they are a changing.
There
That's
you
my
go.
best Bob Dylan.
Perfect.
That's the best Bob Dylan I could give you.
You're braver than me.
And for somebody who sings really bad, he sings a lot better than I do.
But very good point. Very good point. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everyone before we close up? Because I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but I'm so grateful that you were here with me today.
Yeah, no, the one thing that I would just say is to, just make sure you're always out and just when you're out there, always be your best you. And just
Okay.
know that if you're feeling uncomfortable about yourself on a particular day, don't worry. We don't know that.
That's right.
So just
That's true.
be your best you. That's my biggest thing that I tell people all the time.
And thank you for that. And we do. We have to be us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so very, very much again. And thank you for all of you guys that joined us. Make sure you grab that opportunity that'll be in the, well, actually, I have not, if you guys can't spell that out, but it's all good. We'll go ahead and put that in the comments as
Yes, I
well
will.
so that it makes it really easy for you to just go ahead and click on that link
Keep it
and
simple.
take it. Absolutely. I always say
Yeah.
work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Helping to get that. And Bear's going to come say goodbye because apparently it is time for mom to go play
Bye,
and I'm not
Bear.
listening.
Bye, Bear.
Here's a whistle too. He is a character and a half, but he is forcing me to get up and go outside periodically, and it's such a horrible thing.
Yeah.
But I'm
God forbid
grateful
you should
for it.
get fresh air, right?
Exactly, and actually get up once in a while. So, and I think that's part of it too, is just look around for the blessings that are all around us. And, you are
Amen.
encouraged to just go ahead and ignite the possibilities that are around you and take full advantage of it, because it is your time to excel. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Joe, for joining us. Thank you, everyone that hopped on live with us, and those that go ahead and check out the replay. And we look forward to seeing you next week on It's Time to Excel.
Bye,
Have a good
everybody.
one.